Hey guys, Lytane here, and this is the final video in my Danganronpa marathon. Tomorrow's November, or unless you're watching this in a day that's not October 31st, in which case tomorrow could be anything. I don't know, I'm not psychic. What I do know is that I will be doing my spoiler talk for Danganronpa V3 here. So if you have not played the game and if you just want a generalized review of it, you can click up here. Otherwise, I'm going to spoil everything, and that's not a good idea. You should not get spoilers. Why would you do that to yourself? Go and experience things and then come back. If you have experienced everything, well, let's get talking about this game, eh? So here we have it, the culmination of the entire series, and now I can talk spoilers. I'm going to start with the characters. Maki was a really interesting lady, and I liked learning about her and her backstory, from being trained as an assassin and being an assassin that actually never kills anybody in this killing game. That was pretty funny. When I first started playing this game, I tried to guess who was going to die first, and I pinned Kaito as the least interesting character. I know, I was wrong. He is great and a good hype girl. I didn't expect Rentaro to die first. I thought he was going to be there for at least half of the game and almost solve something before he dies, but oh well, someone's got to be the first victim. Kokichi was so much fun to watch. I never knew what he was up to and what he wanted to do. That made him a wild card in literally every chapter, and I loved his roundabout evil ways of making people work together and do what he wanted them to do. So let's move on to the cases. The first case was so good. Even though we play as Kaede and we actually see her plan the murder and execute it, I still didn't suspect her until very late in that case. I thought it was Gonta at first, but then they proved that wrong, so then I moved to Shuichi for the most of it until we found out that twist. It was so good, and that is why I think it is the best first case of the entire series. After this is when Shuichi becomes the main character and took off his hat to show his ahogi. Yep, he's the main character now, he's got the hair. The second case wasn't bad, but that black cloth tipped me off for it being either Kurumi or Kibo, as they have predominantly black clothing, so that made it a little easy to narrow it down, but I think the case was well executed, and I didn't know how Kurumi could have done it because of the timing. Case 3 was our return to tradition. We get a split personality, a serial killer, and a double murder all in one go. Wow! But goddamn, I hate Kyo. I didn't really like him before the case, but afterwards when we found out his backstory and that he offered up girls as a sacrifice to his dead sister whose ghost lives inside of him, like, what? Throughout all of case 3, I had him as my prime suspect, along with Kibo, as I thought being a robot, maybe he could have had night vision installed. But then he showed off that he had lights, and I was like, oh, maybe he got around using those. But he didn't do it. Case 4 was the most annoying one in the entire game for me. When Mew told me that the map on the wall was how the world is, I was like, nope, she's lying. It was so obvious. What made it worse is that this map was the mid-trial twist, the ooh, can you believe we just did that? It was such a letdown and super easy to solve. I thought that case 4 was the most boring until Kokichi said that the culprit was Gonta. I didn't even guess Gonta. He wasn't even on my radar as the culprit because the game made it so hard to figure out it was him. So once again, my prime suspect was Kibo. Yeah, I figured that because Mew made herself an object, that she made Kibo an object as he is a robot, so the wall wouldn't have applied to him. We also heard Kibo outside when the killing happened, which further pointed to him as the culprit, but nope. It was Gonta, and he didn't even know it. While a cool twist, I don't really like it because it felt so out of character for Gonta, and more of just a shock killing than anything else. Case 5 was also a little bit frustrating. Right at the start, when it was a mystery of who died between Kokichi and Kaito, I instinctively knew that it was Kokichi that had died and Kaito that had lived. But the game tries to make it hard to guess until the very end, but I never bought it. Even that videotape as evidence did nothing to sway me because I heard it has a pause feature. that solidified that it wasn't Kaito that died. So Kaito was my main suspect for the case, but guess who else I suspected? Kibo. Yeah, I thought that once again, because he was a robot, he could have gotten past the electronic gate like the Exosols could, and from there killed Kokichi in order to save Kaito, then worked with Kaito to get rid of the body. Once again, completely wrong. And then we go into the end game. So I want to put it out there that after the start of the game, I made a prediction to Kitty of what the end twist was going to be. I said that they were normal people made to believe that they were ultimates and that everything they knew was likely a lie, or at least mixed truth. So one of the big reveals is that everything is a lie and that they were normal people. Called it! But after that, I didn't guess much else. Well, I did guess that Tsumugi was the mastermind near the end because it had to be a girl, and Himiko and Maki were just too good of the characters. They were definitely not evil, so it had to be Tsumugi. But after that, I swear I didn't see anything coming. My favorite reveal of the game is the V in the title is a plot twist. I love that! This is the 53rd game in the series, and then they showed the other 52 in that video. It was hilarious and reminded me of 22 Jump Street. But then after that reveal, I didn't like where they went with this. This game went very meta and mentioned that Danganronpa 1 and 2 and even the anime were all part of a setup made by Danganronpa team. All of the fake memories were implanted to make the killing game more interesting, and it implies that every single one before this was also the same. Created for the sake of making the outside world, the players, me, enjoy these games. Now, getting to this reveal was really well done as it was very interactive. It made me question what I thought about the game, what lies they were telling me, what possible truths were real, and even my knowledge of the previous games themselves, much better than what the other games had done in the final case. Mostly because the final cases in the other games are pretty much 4-hour exposition dumps. But this game doesn't do that. Until about the halfway point when it turns into an exposition dump. And now I hate what it did to the story. This twist trivialized the entire series. By trying to be different and having fun, it ruins all that came before it. It makes out that Danganronpa 1 was an orchestrated game for people to watch. It says that Junko wasn't really a mastermind that caused the fall of the world. The world is actually full of peace, and this is a great escape for them. So everything Makoto went through wasn't true. All of the hardships Hajime endured was a lie. The tragic life of Chiaki was meaningless because it was all for the sake of a game to entertain others. None of the growth and the character and the story has impact because it was all fake. I mean, this was a game and I know it was fake in anyway, but I was invested in these characters and the world that it had set up. As a sequel to Danganronpa 3, I thought this was going to tie into Makoto and his new Hope's Peak Academy, but it doesn't. It really doesn't extend any part of that Hope's Peak story and instead just says all of that was a lie. I cannot express how much I hated this. Also, during case 6, I thought that Kiba was going to turn evil. Because he was a robot, I assumed that people could control him. Yeah, I always suspected Kiba in every single case except the first one. I mean, I didn't hate him as a character in any way, but I must be robophobic. Also, this reveal left me with a few questions. Was everything in the game a fantasy, or was it a mix of real life and lies? Did the character have free will, or was it all planned? Tsumugi says that she wrote the inspirational lines that Kaito says and imprinted Maki with the affection that she has for him. That, to me, says that they also planned the murders and put that into people, which once again takes away from the characters and their motivations. Also, writing memories is great, but how the hell did they turn Kibo, a real-life person, into a robot? That is a physical change, which really makes no sense. He even has robot capabilities like flights and upgrades, and even a printer coming out of his mouth. It makes no sense. Rentaro also left me with a few questions, like, what was Danganronpa 52 about? Was he the same character there, or was he a different one? Like, they do this memory erasure thing, so maybe he wasn't the ultimate survivalist there. Maybe he was like the ultimate skateboarder or something, I don't know. Also, why did only he enter the next game? Wasn't there any other people that made it to the end of his game, or they all picked something else? I don't know. I want to know more about what happened here. So by the end, I like that the heroes didn't choose hope or despair. But Ultra Despair Girls kinda did that first. Once again, did Tsumugi plan for that? She did write other lines that were said outside of the flashback, so I'm wondering if she actually planned for all this to happen. I know that she set up the motivation for everybody to start this last class trial, but it just makes me question how much of it was her and the Danganronpa team creating it, and how much of it was free will from the characters alone. Also, those flashbacks were hella suspicious because everyone remembered the same thing. Like, exactly, even personal experiences. So that made it so obvious that they were fake, but none of the characters, not even Shuichi, the ultimate detective, put 2 and 2 together. Then the game ends on a cliffhanger. 3 characters survive and can re-enter the real world. But what will that mean to them? Will they be famous? Will they go back to their forgotten families? Maybe one day we will get a Danganronpa 4 that might explain all of this, but I honestly doubt it. So while I really love the gameplay, story, and the characters, that ending almost ruined this game for me. Just how much disregard it had for what came before it, just for that twist ending. But I absolutely freaking loved that the game's title was both a puzzle and a clue to the big twist in the game. And I can only think of one other game that has done this before, Zero Time Dilemma. So fantastic, props off to you, that's great. Oh, and you are Mr. Gay on Mario Galaxy. So guys, those are my spoilery thoughts on Danganronpa V3, but what did you think about it? Did you have as many issues with the ending as I did? Because I felt like it just devalued everything that came before it, and that really frustrated me, but maybe I misinterpreted it. Let me know if I did, or if you agree with me. I always like when people agree with me. Also, because this is a spoiler section, you can write whatever you want down below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So, bye! I had so many issues with it just like devalued. Oh, that scared the fudge out of me. Cat just walked in. I thought I was going to get killed. Oh my god.